welcome to the Dominica Health and Education Initiative Annual Summit. Today, we ask you to come to learn about addiction, to come to gather as a community, but come together as Dominicans. We are still in the month of Caribbean Heritage Month, which is a special month for those of us who've moved away from Dominica, who still get to celebrate Dominica. Today, we have special guests from Dominica. This is actually the first year that all our speakers at our annual summit are from Dominica. So I ask you to sit back, relax, and get ready. I can see Yanari drinking her kakao tea as we now celebrate what it is to be Caribbean people.
From many distant lands, our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high and sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom. Though great and diverse be our ethnicities, the bonds that unite us are stronger than these. We dine, we pray, we love, we dance and we play. We relate to each other, rest in your way. Today as a people united, determined and steadfast we stand. We look to a brand new horizon, the future now firmly in our hands. Raise your voices high and sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom. Hele, hele, bravo. Open you sing Calico. Leve, leve, wow. Naki you drum Calico. Tabu ya tabu awo. Open you sing Calico. Leve, leve, wow. Raise your voices high and sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom. Hele, hele, bravo. Open your sting Caracom. Leve, leve, wow. Hele, hele. Tabu ya tabu awo. Naki your drum Caracom. Leve, leve, wow.
Beautiful. Thank you, thank you. I need a round of applause. Round of applause to Mikhail Henderson. Can we mute our volume, please? Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. So wow, this was a beautiful song by McPhail Henderson, which really just talked about us as a Caribbean people, us being connected by the bonds of just our humanity, our waters, our rivers, our food, us, a CARICOM. So today we are at the Dominica Health and Education Initiative Annual Summit, and today's a special day. Today, as I mentioned before, all our speakers and all our guests are Dominican, and this is the first time, so it's a very special time for the High to have all Dominicans on our panel and as guest speakers today. Today, hope and healing, moving from addiction to a life of recovery. I'm going to now share with you a little bit about our agenda so you'll get an idea of what you can expect for the day. So we just had our CARICOM song, and I'm Farah Lauren Hutchison. I'm the co-founder of The High with my cousin Anne-Marie Richard. We are now going to share with you a little bit about moving from my welcome. Yanara is going to share with you a little bit about our The High Academy. And then we have our Scholar Graduate Award Ceremony, which is the first year we have graduates from the High Academy. We have a keynote address from Junie Serrant-Futrell. Then we have a performance by Merlin Saint-Hilaire, the Wizard. Many of you might know the Wizard, so he gets to be with us today. And then we have a short break. Then we have a panel discussion, led by Anne-Marie Laron Richard, Franklyn Moses, Matthias Pelte, and Dr. Wallace. And then closing remarks. So sit back, enjoy. And again, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to engage with us, because this is what this is for. This is for us to talk about really healing from addiction and us to just be together again during Caribbean Heritage Month. So Anne-Marie, I'm going to pass it over to you. And thank you and welcome everyone for attending our annual summit at the High.
Thank you, Farah, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us. So I am Anne-Marie Laurent Richard. As Farah said, I am the co-founder of the Dominican Health and Education Initiative. And we're just delighted to spend this morning with you, whether you're sitting on your couch, in your car. I think this is the beauty of the virtual session, that you can call in from wherever you want, and bring on your friends. Bring your friends and family along with you. So today, as Farah said, our theme is hope and healing, moving from addiction to a life of recovery. And this really speaks directly to a critical need across our communities. Just recently, Dominica has experienced a heartbreaking spike in suicides, averaging 7 lives per week. I mean, these numbers are just unfathomable. It's a sobering reminder, though, that behind these statistics is a person, a family, a story, and the pain of addiction, of depression, of disconnection is very real, and it's very present in our communities. And so, but hope is still there, right? There is still hope, and this is the whole purpose of this event. This is exactly what we're here for. We'll hear a powerful journey of hope and healing, and our goal here this morning is to really educate, to promote awareness and understanding of drug addiction, to reduce the stigma associated with it and the shame and the blame, so that people feel empowered to seek help, and to really highlight the possibilities of healing, that you can come out of this with the support. So this event, as Farah said, is being held during Caribbean American Heritage Month. We always have it in June. And this is a time when we celebrate the strength and the culture and the resilience of our people, our Dominican people, our Caribbean people. And so we commit to lifting up our communities, not just in times of crisis, but all the time, really bringing our collective strengths together to be able to build capacity and really help address these issues that are plaguing our communities. And this is exactly what the High does. So our mission, Farah just put on the slide here, just a little bit about the organization. So this is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It's based in Boston, Massachusetts. And our mission is really to help build capacity in both the health and education sectors in Dominica. We strive to do so by reducing health and education inequities and improving quality of life. If you go back to that slide, Farah, improving quality of life for families and individuals in Dominica through and our diasporan community, through enhancing technology and training in the medical and educational facilities, improving literacy by providing support for higher education. And you will hear a little bit about our scholarship program, which is one of the flagship programs for this organization. and partnering with local communities and with both non-governmental and governmental organizations to really understand the unmet needs and the gaps on the islands and work to meet those needs. Next slide. So we have a really dedicated board, all Dominican, and they're highlighted there. All of them are on the call today. And these are the people that are working really hard to drive the mission of the Dominican Health and Education Initiative. And you will hear from some of those of the board members as we go through the program. Next slide. And so Yanara, as I said, Yanara Etinoff is one of our board members, and she's going to talk about the scholarship program and just give you some more details about this. But again, we'll also hear a powerful story, as I said. The most powerful and enlightening aspect of our program is going to be after our break. So we have the keynote coming up and then that session after the break. So please stay with us, sit tight, and I encourage you to just absorb it and really understand from what's being presented how we can apply this. You might know people, you yourself might be going through issues, and so how can we really take that and put it towards helping someone recover. So thank you again for being here. Yanara, I'm going to turn it on to you.
All right, good morning, everyone. We are all extremely happy to have you here this morning. I am particularly excited to share with you about the Dominica Health and Education Initiative High School Scholarship Program. So this was established in 2020, so about 5 years ago. And I really need to congratulate every single one of our scholars so far. The process they have to go through to even attain one of these scholarships is so rigorous. So every single one of our 13 scholars that have been awarded to date, I congratulate you. To date, we have been awarding 1,000 EC dollars for every year of 5 years of high school. However, we are in discussion to increase this number to meet the full need of tuition for these high school programs, as our students have very openly shared with us that there's just a little bit more to go. We provide this financial support, but we provide far more than that. In addition to the money, we provide tutoring based on the students' individual needs, mentorship, and just a resource to be reached out to for whatever needs that they may have. As I mentioned to you before, we have awarded 13 scholarships to date, which we are very proud of. And because this was started in 2020, we are now in 2025, 5 years of high school, we actually get to celebrate a major milestone. We have our first 2 graduates of our scholarship program that we're specifically celebrating today. Farah. So like we have awarded 13 scholarships, but one of our students migrated and we always support progress. And so we have 12 scholars left over. And you see highlighted here are 2 graduates. Please note that this scholarship is not specific to any particular high school. All high schools across the island are able to be supported. One more for me. And while this was our flagship initiative, the scholarship, we are moving from simply a scholarship program into an entire comprehensive academy. So we're now moving into an emerging online learning platform where our students are going to be able to access those resources even without our presence. So we'll set it up for you. You go on, you access what you need, and hopefully to support your learning individually on your own. And this is just really to keep our students competitive as they go out into the world, go off to college, nursing school, whatever that goal may be. We need to make sure that our students are able to compete. And we're doing that through personalized tutoring, just like we're already doing. Mentorship, not only from us, but from professionals in the industries that our students are expressing interest in entering, and AI-powered learning tools. So as this educational environment is evolving, we need to make sure that our students are also able to keep up, stay on the cutting edge of this new learning environment. And so we invite you all to join us in building a brighter future through education and innovation. And you can do so by donating, referring your students to us, referring your neighbors' students to us, etc. And if we go one more, Farah. Okay. And the application process is open. So please, you can actually scan that barcode right now. If you don't have a student to send it to, scan it, it will take you to the link, and then you forward that link to whoever needs to apply. We would like to start reviewing applications as soon as possible so we can have all that money disbursed in time for the start of school. Thank you.
Okay, so today we have our first, actually, first annual award ceremony for the High Academy. And today we have two wonderful scholars that we'd like to honor. We have our first scholar, who is Adela Stevenson, and our second scholar, who will be Sarah Harvey. So I'm going to tell you a short intro and a short description about our two scholars. So the Dominica Health and Education Scholars Recognition of Completion presented to Adela Stevenson, class of 2025, for successfully completing 5 years of high school with resilience, courage, and unwavering dedication. Adela Stevenson is one of our very first students. She was a member of our inaugural class. She joined the program in first form and has been a scholar for 5 years. Congratulations, Adela. Adela is graduating from Casabruce High School, and congratulations again on your accomplishments. Beautiful. Virtual screenshot. Congratulations. Beautiful. Virtual screenshot. Congratulations, Adela. We're very, very proud of you. Wonderful. Now we move to our next student, Sarah Harvey. The Dominica Health and Education Scholars Recognition of Completion presented to Sarah Harvey, class of 2025, for successfully completing 5 years of high school with resilience, courage, and unwavering dedication. Sarah started the program in 2023 when she was in fourth form. She is graduated from the Dominica Grammar School. Congratulations, Sarah, on your accomplishments.
I just want to say thank you to the High. You all helped me a lot, helped my parents a lot, because without you, some things wouldn't be possible. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
And we'll now hear from Adela.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you to the High. Thanks for everything you guys have done for me and my accomplishment. Thank you a lot.
Congratulations to you both, Sarah and Adela, on graduating, on successfully completing high school. We wish you all the best. We look forward to seeing you again, though. We won't stop here. We'll continue checking on you guys. Okay? So again, we want to thank you for being here with us this morning, though it's a rainy morning. The weather was kind of challenging this morning, but we're very happy and grateful that you're here with us today. And again, on behalf of the High, we'd like to congratulate you. Big congrats to you on your achievements thus far.
Thank you. Thank you, Franklyn.
Welcome.
Thank you, Lorraine, for all your help to make this day possible.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
If you can become a member of the High and support our initiatives, I invite you to do so. If you can become a mentor to our students, we invite you to do so. But we appeal to you now to be a part of this journey with us in building capacity in the education sector in Dominica. Good morning, Junie. How are you?
I am great. Okay, perfect. So I am Annette Fontaine, Medical Director of the High, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker, Junie Serrant-Futrell, Physician Assistant in Addiction Medicine. Junie was born on our beautiful island of Dominica and raised in the village of Collie After graduating from Convent High School, she worked as an elementary school teacher before migrating to the United States. In the US, she discovered a passion for healthcare, leading her to pursue studies in the sciences at Suffolk County Community College, followed by a degree in physician assistant studies from Long Island University's School of Health Professionals. She has had the privilege of working with pioneers in the field of addiction medicine at Beth Israel Mount Sinai and currently at Montefiore Medical Center. This journey has deepened her understanding of the complexity of addiction. She's committed to advocate for those struggling with substance abuse, especially within underserved, marginalized communities. Her dream is to return to the Caribbean with this expertise to expand access to addiction treatment and mental health services within communities and fostering a healthcare culture that embraces respect and healing. Let's welcome our very own Junie Serrant-Futrell.
Good morning and thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Junie. And thank you
Bonjour
for
tout le
attending.
monde.
Bonjour.
Saka
Bonjour.
fete.
Muela.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing really well today. It is a pleasure. It is my pleasure to be with you today. Whether you're here you are logging in from the US, Dominica, St. Vincent, St. Kitts, the UK, wherever you are logging in, we are happy that you're here with us today, taking you from your busy Saturday. We are here to talk about addiction, something that is generally swept under the rug, something that's in our homes, our churches, in our communities. It affects our families, our young people, and even our future. Many of us have been taught that addiction is a weakness. It's a disgrace, even an abomination. I haven't said this word in a long time, but really that's how people view people with suffering with substance use. Something to hide from, and we're very judgmental. So today, I invite you to listen with an open mind, an open heart, not through the lens of shame, but through one of science, empathy, and hope, because recovery is possible. As we know, you could go to slide 2. Addiction does not discriminate. It crosses every line, age, income, race, and background. It's not just a personal struggle. It's a community challenge. Today, we are not just here to talk about addiction. We're here to confront stigma, ignite understanding, and shine a light on compassion. Because behind every statistic is a real person and a real story and the potential for real change. Next slide. So before I go into this, I wanted to speak about something that's really, that we all can relate to, food. Or, I'm sorry, let me do this because this is our goal here. What I hope to achieve after this talk is that we understand that addiction is in fact a brain disease. We can explore how mental health and addiction are connected to reduce stigma and shame and promote an environment for healing, to recognize the signs and symptoms of addiction and the importance of intervention, and this can go in a long way if we remove the stigma and join as a community. So this is our goal here. Now, next slide. Just to show, I don't want us to focus on statistics, but the whole point of sharing this is to show that we do have there's a real issue in our community. And this is not, I have statistics for the Caribbean as well as in the US, because addiction is all over. At least 4.4 million and 1.2 million women in Latin America and the Caribbean suffer from drug use disorder. There's a rising misuse of alcohol among our youths. With the increase of cocaine trafficking, cocaine is now almost becoming prevalent in our community. The cannabis is now normalized, but it's not, as you will see, it is not innocent. And with the normalization, we now see that we have earlier use of cannabis. We have children from, when I speak with patients, as early as 9, they're smoking. The brain is still developing, and that can retard growth. Next slide. According to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2023, 48.5 million people and age 12 or older in the United States were estimated to have had a substance use disorder. In a recent article written in June of 2024, according to the World Health Organization, highlights that 2.0 million deaths per year were attributed to alcohol consumption. Of all the deaths, it's mostly men. Next slide. Okay, so the definition of addiction. According to SAMHSA, the Substance Use and Mental Health Services Administration, addiction is defined as a chronic relapsing disorder characterized by compulsive drug seeking, continued use despite harmful consequences, and long-lasting changes in the brain. It's considered a brain disorder, affecting brain circuits involved in reward, stress, and self-control. And I will explain that further as we move along. Okay, so when we speak about addiction, immediately one thinks of drugs or alcohol, but there's different forms of addiction. There's addiction to sex, there's addiction to food, there's addiction to gambling. But however, because drugs and alcohol are being looked down upon or frowned upon or cast away those who suffer that problem, we tend to focus on that. But food, we can use food today to explain how addiction works because it's relatable. So let's think of your favorite food. Baked and codfish, okra. For me, it's mango. Some people maybe pizza. Imagine eating your favorite food. The brain is going to release something called dopamine. It's a neurotransmitter. That's our feel-good chemical. And that response happens in everything. When we eat, when we're happy, if we hug somebody, this is the same response. Dopamine reinforces the behavior that are essential for survival, like eating and procreating, pretty much having babies. When we eat that food regularly, our brain expects it. You crave it more and more. Over time, you need more of that same food to feel the same, to get that same pleasurable feeling that you had the first time you tasted it. Really think about that. You used to want to eat that plate of pilau every day. But wow, what we say in Dominica, we say, oh my God, I weep in ye. That's where we're building tolerance. Okay, so now it's going to take more of that food for you to get that same feeling. You say, I don't like that again. I used to like it. Now you're going to seek something else. Let's see the next slide. So as we move along, I want you to keep in mind those 4 C's. It's compulsive behavior, because this is what addiction is about, compulsive behavior, the cravings, and it's chronic relapsing brain disorder. Chronic relapsing brain disorder. We will talk more about the relapsing part. There's also cognitive impairment. Next slide. So I just wanted to mention some myths and some facts. We usually say addicts lack discipline. That's not true. Addiction alters the brain function. That is the reason why it's difficult to stop. Mental health is for mad people. No, mental health exists on a spectrum. We have social anxiety, general anxiety, bipolar disorder, hyperactivity, and we can name many, many more. Marijuana or pot is natural, so it is safe. Not really. Cannabis can lead to dependence and worsen anxiety in some people. I also, apart from addiction medicine, I also do I work in family practice, and sometimes I'm happy that I have that background, so I'm able to notice a problem. I'll have one young person comes in and say, Miss, I can't stop smoking. The more I smoke is the more I want. The more I smoke, and I know it's too much, but I can't stop. What happens when you stop? Oh, I get really angry. Anything makes me upset. So cannabis does have a side effect. It does affect you. Next slide. So what are some of the risk factors to developing addiction? If there is family history of addiction, there's a high incidence, a high chance that somebody within that family may become addicted. Having a mental health disorder puts you at risk. Peer pressure, especially among our youths. In order to, they want to feel cool. Just do it. We want to feel you, or you're a punk because you're not doing it. So they may tend to give into peer pressure. Lack of family involvement or supervision. Early use of any substance increases the chance of you becoming addicted. Taking a highly addictive drug, once again, because of the effects on the brain, it's almost inevitable that you would get addicted. Also, trauma. And trauma is a big thing. From my experience with over 20 years working in this field, I can't tell you how much trauma. It taught me really early, do not judge the person that I see on the street. Do not judge the homeless person. Do not judge the person you see who seem to be high or behaving in an abnormal way on the street. I learned that really, really early after doing my training at the VA hospital in Manhattan. And I am glad that I have the ability, after hearing all these traumatic stories, that when I walk out of work, I can shut it down and go home and not internalize it, because then I definitely would be a mess. Because it's really, really bad. The things you hear, you would almost want to tell yourself, ugh, I can see why. But there is help. Next slide. Okay, so this slide is of the brain. As we know, the brain is a very intricate organ, if not the most intricate organ. So just for the purpose of addiction, I only am focusing on the parts that are directly involved. And this would be like our reward circuit system. Let me, 1 minute. Okay, so for the frontal cortex, let's say that the frontal cortex is our decision maker. This is the area that helps you make decisions. It controls your impulses and help you think through consequences. It normally helps you decide what's good or what's bad. In addition, the frontal cortex is not, if it's in addiction, it is not working properly. The brain's decision is impaired, or it's declined, or it's changed, making it harder to think through consequences when you use drugs. The next, the basal ganglia, let's call it the habit center. Just like when we think of a child when we first started to walk, we took that first step. Would you believe that these areas are also involved? Because that's how we create a habit. It says, try that again, because that's what we're going to need to move on, or to walk, or to survive. That's what it was meant for. But however, when there is substance on board, it hijacks those areas. So it helps you, the basal ganglia helps you form routines. It is activated whenever you repeat something over and over and over, even like brushing your teeth, and learning to drive a car. It is involved in that. In addiction, the basal ganglia gets rewired by repeated use of drugs or alcohol. The brain starts to see the substance as part of a regular routine, because this is the area, everything is routine. So now, because you've been using substances all the time, it sees it as a routine. So with continued use, the brain becomes trained now to crave those drugs, because now it sees it as something that's normal when it shouldn't be. This is real. Without substances or without addiction, we would really be focusing on, like when you eat food, when you get a hug from a friend, there will be short bursts of dopamine released, and then it will go back into the neuron where it came from. However, with drugs, that's it. Dopamine is released tenfold. Imagine it's flooded. Your brain is just flooded with dopamine. In time, it becomes sensitized, where it no longer produces enough. It does not produce dopamine like it should. It decreases the receptors, and so does not provide enough dopamine. Now this is where someone who uses substances now has to wind up using more and more to get that same good feeling, because that's the goal. Then we have the extended amygdala. This is our area for stress and emotion center. Pretty much like our fight or flight. It's the area where if you're going to put your hand on a hot, like you want to grab a hot pot, or you put your hand over fire, this is the area that says, no, this is hot, don't touch it. So again, in addiction, the substances affects these areas. So when someone uses, let's say cocaine, you get that rapid high. There's a large amount of dopamine, but then as the drug subsides in the system, in the brain, now in the extended amygdala, it's like, oh, it's stressed out, it's increased stress, it's fear. Fear comes because you're afraid of the crash that's coming because the substance is not here. So there we go. It's going to force you to crave or to reach out to go find that substance again, to prevent that, to help or treat the anxiety that you feel. I hope that explains. If there is, later on, you can ask me questions to clarify. Let's see the next slide. So I mentioned some of that already. It's this is the neurobiology, just meaning just how the brain works. When you first use drugs, there's a release or a flood of dopamine in your reward pathway, which is what we just looked at. The user experiences intense sense of pleasure. This is why we go back to do things over and over. Let's be real, if we are married or whatever, even like, for example, a child goes out and becomes sexually active. This is where this is. Dopamine. It felt good. Okay. So now your brain now expects to hopefully with intervention and say, now it's not the time, then we can kind of help that child or that person navigate and understand, like, oh, let's wait, if we can wait because you're not prepared, and explain why. But otherwise, we're going back to look for that same good feeling. So when we think of addiction, let's not just think of drugs. Think of everything else that brings you pleasure. This is the part the brain is involved, and it's the very same thing someone with addiction goes through. Next. Okay, so we're now going to dive into, we're going to focus on opiates, marijuana, alcohol, and cocaine. So just for the history buffs out here, opiates are derived from the natural occurring poppy plant, Papaver somniferum. You can go to the next slide. It's okay. What are opioids? So we have synthetic and semi-synthetic. Opioids are like, we have heroin, it's a street drug. The others are medication that would be prescribed for pain, oxycodone, roxycodone, morphine, fentanyl. Now, 1 minute. The prescribed drugs, they all has a place, but when misused, this is where the problem comes. If you're in severe, if you just had surgery, you had a major accident, you have severe pain, that Tylenol, Motrin probably is not going to help. This is okay to prescribe these things, but we understand for short-term use, not long-term. With long-term, whether the person taking that medication wants to or not, which happens more often than not, addiction occurs. They build a tolerance and goes through all of the things that someone on the street who uses heroin goes through, because it works in the same pathway. Next slide. How does the user use opioids or heroin? When I say opioids, think heroin, think fentanyl. In the US, and I gather in other big cities, there are, or other big developed countries, there is an increased use of fentanyl. And on the street, they call it Fenny. They don't say fentanyl. So it can be used by intranasally, that's through your nose, by snorting, injections, or skin popping. Skin popping is the person is unable to enter a vein, and so they just put the drug under the skin. So they call that skin popping. Or it can be taken orally. Through intravenous use gives you gets quicker to the brain, of course, because it's in the bloodstream, directly into the bloodstream. Next slide.
Should I skip this one?
Oh, sorry. You did it so fast. Sorry. Okay, so just like as I mentioned, people usually get addicted this is not the only route, but I want to focus on that because most people will focus on someone who's on the street buying stuff. I want to show how innocently someone can become addicted to opioids. And that can happen to anyone. If you have the knowledge, which I hope we get here today, then we can restrict how long and how much we take, okay? Knowing that knowing what the risk is. So when you take, if you take medication for pain, which is prescribed, it's okay because it was prescribed. So over time, your body will develop tolerance. What does that mean? Initially, you started to take one pill, one tablet, one pill. The doctor said take one pill every 6 hours as needed. Truthfully, you noticed you only needed to take 1 or 2 throughout the day. But there are some people who taking that one pill immediately, once it gets metabolized, immediately feels euphoric. They feel good, like, oh, what is that? So that person's at high risk for misuse. So they'll continue using. As we say, patients may unknowingly develop tolerance. So I will quickly give a case of 50-something-year-old female, had knee surgery, came to the family practice office where I work and said, my kids are mad with me. They're upset with me because I ran out of my medicine and I'm acting like I never did before. I am shouting at my son. I am yelling at him, go take me to the doctor. I need to get this medication. I don't know why this is happening. What is going on? So thankfully, I have the experience with this. So I said, okay, what are you taking? How long you've been taking this? She had surgery 2 months already. It's way too long. 2 months after surgery, really? Is that much pain? As a clinician, as healthcare providers, we definitely have to pay attention when these things happen. And I will explain what happened as a result of the misuse of opioids or the increase of opioids in the US. So I was able to recognize what it is. I said, would you like your son to come? Because I'd like him to understand what was going on. And we can do a taper at home, which she did successfully. I had her son do it. I said, your son is going to give it to you. I don't want you to have it. He's going to let's start with 4 pills today for 2 days, then 3 days. She was able to do it. And I gave her medication to help with, she feel a little anxious, something that's non-addicting. She was able to do it. And because now she understood. Okay, so let's go back to our slide. Then we have like street drugs like heroin or fentanyl-laced pills, because the patients go out and they ask for heroin. And we do toxicology. We take a urine sample and we said, you have cocaine, fentanyl, benzodiazepines in your urine. They said, no, I only take heroin. Well, most of the times, those drugs on the street is laced or have other substances in there that sometimes the patients are not aware of. So what we do now as a prevention, because it's always harm reduction, patients I have in my hand, I don't know if I can show. We have also something called xylazine. Xylazine is also placed on the drugs in the heroin on the street or the drugs in the street. Xylazine is a animal sedative. It's used for animals, to put them for pain, to put them to sleep, for anesthesia. So we give patients a strip because, let's face it, just because you come for treatment doesn't mean you're not going to use. Addiction, we already said what it is. There's going to be use. So if you're going to use, we want to prevent you from dying. We give a strip to test for xylazine and also a strip to test for fentanyl. Well, giving a strip for fentanyl is almost not even, because everything on the street now, I work in New York City, and everything on the street basically has fentanyl. I guess because supply of heroin is not as much as it used to be. So in order for the dealer to expand his supply, there's a lot of junk in there. Next slide. So what are the effects? After you use opioids, you might find you get drowsy, you may have slurred speech, your breathing will decrease because it affects that area at the brainstem that controls our breathing and our heart rate. You get euphoria, just feeling good, feeling no pain. The pupils, if you look at someone who just used, you're going to see the pupils very small, pinpoint. So we call it pinpoint. Long term, like we say, if you keep using the same drug, eventually you're going to require more and more to get that same feeling. This is addiction. So addiction, as we know, it will change the brain, changes the brain. You become emotionally unstable. There's a high risk for overdose because you constantly want to get that drug. You spend all your money, or you start doing things that you generally would not do, like stealing, which they call boosting on the street, robbing, maybe even robbing from somebody, which is stealing, or taking from your family, your friends, and what you wind up spending all the money that you have for rent or for food, and you rather not have food because you want to get that. Not only that, because of the side effects when you come off of opioids, which I'll talk about, is really bad. Okay, so like I said, there's a major risk of fentanyl contamination in the street. And if a small amount of just a speck can kill someone who has never used that drug, it's dangerous. Fentanyl is like 100 times stronger than heroin. So we have a real issue. So far, I've not seen increased use in the Caribbean. But as we know, everything's changing. We hopefully get in an international airport. This is how things filter in. People come, well, maybe with their own, they teach about different things. So let's see, okay? Next slide. Okay, so addiction is not just for men. Also, it's for anybody. Women also get addicted. So what happens if someone is using opioids while pregnant? So this is the one time that you want to seek professional help. And in that case, we have to continue treating that person with a safe medication instead of the person using heroin on the streets or fentanyl. Because the baby, if you're pregnant and you're using, your baby's also using, because it's sharing your blood supply. We do not want the mother to go into withdrawal, because that increases the chance of fetal death or miscarriage. So what happens to a baby who's exposed to opioids? They are at a higher risk of health problems. Premature birth may happen, low birth weight. They also experience withdrawal symptoms after birth. So when the mother delivers, the baby is born, that baby may be crying more than the usual. It's because they're irritable. It's probably because of withdrawal. They no longer have the drug. So there's treatment. Again, that's a high-risk pregnancy. Next. What are some of the medications for opioid use or opioid addiction? We have things like methadone that's been around for years. It's tried and proven to be safe and helpful. even the patient will come and say, well, what's the point? I'm trading one drug for the other. Well, the ones on the street is not safe. This is safe. The one thing that I forgot to mention is, as humans, we do have opioid receptors on our brain. Everyone has that. So because that person been abusing this, now the opioid receptors are now sensitive, and you're going to need more of the drug to fill those receptors to avoid the withdrawals. So this is where medication comes in. So there's things like buprenorphine, and also then we now have something called Sublocade, which is by injection that the patient can get every month. Now, as we know, treatment and recovery is going to require not just medication. You need therapy and counseling. We need everyone on board, the family, the community, to help in recovery. Naloxone to reverse overdoses. This is what this looks like. So if you're in the US or in any of in the developed countries, anywhere, this is what you need to have. You want to have that. Even for the average person, honestly, if you know someone who uses, this is something that you could have. Or anyone who's, if in my listening audience, if you know someone who uses and you're fully aware of it, please have this naloxone. It's Narcan, it's a prevention kit. This will reverse somebody who overdose. In the case of an overdose, you just insert and press onto that red button into the nose, and it will decrease rapidly the amount of the opioid in the brain, and to get that person breathing again. We've had to do that many times. Patients come for treatment at a methadone program and enters the bathroom, found with needles stuck in the hand and not breathing. So we were able to save that person. So it's something that the average person can hold, honestly, if you know of someone who's using. And of course, the role of the family and community to support and reduce stigma. You cannot do it alone. Next. What time? Do we have time? I have time. Cocaine. We're okay with time?
We have some time, but we definitely need to speed it up a bit.
Okay, we'll speed it up.
Yep.
Cocaine is a powerful stimulant. If you use cocaine, someone uses cocaine, it's a big rush because it's a increased rush of dopamine. The thing about cocaine that I want to drive home is, unlike the others, it blocks the reuptake of dopamine. It prevents it from going back into the neurons. So which means that dopamine stays out. And again, increased sensitization, increased need for more of that cocaine to get the same high. So cocaine is usually a white powder. What is it? It's a white powder, snorted. It can be snorted, it can be liquefied, and it can be crystal. To use IV, or it can be crystallized and smoked. And this is what we call crack cocaine. So like I said, the high is intense but short-lived, and followed by a crash. And that crash, a high, you're excited, you're full of energy, then you crash, almost kind of in a depressive mode. So there goes the craving. Repeat use alters the brain function, leading to cravings and withdrawal. We just remember that for all of these substances. Next. What happens when someone uses? Unlike opioids, which I said was pinpoint pupils, now it's the reverse with cocaine. It's wide open, it's dilated. You have extreme energy. There could be nosebleeds even, and with continued intranasal use, sometimes we see a hole in the nasal septum. So when we're doing exams, it's important to look for that. Paranoid. People become very paranoid. They feel like bugs walking on them, so they'll be picking their skin. That's one of my indication. I can tell that someone's using also from that. There's involuntary body movement, like they shaking, something called the cocaine dance. But you usually see that in someone with prolonged use and a lot of cocaine use. Next. So after cocaine use, you have increased heart rate, you have blood pressure, hyperstimulation of paranoia, like we said. Long term, you wind up with heart problems. It's one of the major causes of MI in someone who's known to be using cocaine. They at high risk for heart attack. Can cause lung damage. How you think can be declined. Next. Oh, so there's absolutely no, so far, no known drug that is FDA approved for cocaine, to treat cocaine. It's really behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, like identifying abnormal thought process, helping the person deal with stressors, daily stressors in life, helping them change a negative thought to a positive thought. Also, there's support groups also always help. Next. And alcohol. Alcohol is probably the most common one used around the Caribbean. We use alcohol. It's socially accepted. There is a alcohol shop, or we want to say rum shop. Maybe in every corner we can find one. So it's easily available. Alcohol affects the central nervous system. That's an area that contains controls for the spine with movement, our heart, and also other than it, also dopamine is also increased in all of the drugs affects dopamine. There's a release, but alcohol also releases the GABA and glutamate, which slows our brain function and impairs judgment. The effects of alcohol will also depend on the amount that you consume, the frequency, and your body size. If you're a petite person and you drink a lot, of course you're gonna get drunk faster, and most likely build a tolerance with continued use. Of note for women with alcohol tend to the addiction sets in even faster. So short-term effects of alcohol: impaired judgment, you might have memory lapse, there's blackouts, you can't remember what happened yesterday, you slurred speech, slow reflexes, decision-making, changes in your mood, you become more emotional, aggressive. How many times we've had, or we may have known a neighbor and we heard Mr. So-and-so coming, and we're afraid for the partner because we've heard it before. We know what's going to happen. It's again because of alcohol. It may be the person becomes more aggressive. Long-term effects: you can shrink the brain, the area of our brain where we use to make judgments for critical thinking can shrink. So memory loss will happen here. We have liver damage. We might have known liver cirrhosis. We know about that. Look for the yellowing in the eyes, or depends on the skin color. You might see it on the skin as well. If you notice that there may be and you know the person drinks, that may be a reason. Okay. Next. Okay. How do we recognize that someone needs help? If you notice that the person is drinking off, or even yourself or someone you know, drinking frequently or in larger amounts than they intended, unable to cut down. I really want to cut down, but I can't. It's starting to interfere with work, with school, with your relationships. There's withdrawal symptoms when not drinking. So this is the thing with alcohol. Many people think that it's probably, in my opinion, one of the worst things to abuse, because the withdrawal, if you really drink a lot every day for large amounts, it is bad. You become diaphoretic, meaning you sweat, you start shaking, your blood pressure really gets very high. You are at risk for people who can get seizures. And so for that, we recommend, if you know of anyone like this, it's best that they go in a medically supervised area to get help, not to stop by themselves at home, because this could go south real fast. I've seen it. If you notice someone, if you say, I'm drinking because I'm stressed, and that's, I cannot sleep. That's another thing. Some people take a glass of wine innocently just to go to sleep. You do that every night. Maybe not everybody, but it can happen. You find yourself drinking more. So that can happen as well. Again, remember the changes that happens in the brain. Always refer to that. Next. So just quickly, just some screening tools, some questions you can ask. Cage, have you ever felt you ought to cut down, you should cut down on your drinking or drug use? We can use this for drug use as well. Have people annoyed you by criticizing your drinking? Do you get really annoyed as someone asks you? Have you ever felt bad or guilty about your drinking? Have you ever had a drink? Have you ever had a drink or use drugs first thing in the morning? We call it an eye opener. That's a red flag. To steady your nerves or get rid of a hangover. Just 2 answers of yes is significant. Next. Next. Okay, we're here. So what are some treatment options, which I've already mentioned? If it's someone who drinks heavily and goes through major physical changes when they're withdrawing, they shouldn't stay at home to do that. They should go into a medically supervised area. Then we have rehabs. You get a rehabilitation where you get cognitive, you get therapy, along with medication. It can be done inpatient or outpatient. Again, it depends. Each case is different. Then there is medication, one more. There's medication, that's okay. Medication that can be used to help to decrease the cravings. That's really what's there for. Disulfiram, which is antabuse. There's also Vivitrol, that is a long-acting injection. It can be given, you start once weekly with Vivitrol. Next.
Hi, Junie, we actually have a question in the chat related. So I know you just touched on the treatment options, but we have a question related to support. So thank you, Terry, for asking the question in the chat. It's related to vapes, specifically in the high school. And the question is stemmed from, what are some specific strategies to support teenagers fighting peer pressure to take drugs and also recover from addiction themselves?
Okay. Well, first, I would hope that you have someone, an adult, that you feel comfortable talking to. And this is where we want to make it easy for our children to come to us. That the rigid way of raising is, I talk, shut up, you don't say a word. Let's move away from that. They're people too. Let's hear their opinion. Let's hear with respect. Let them tell you how they feel and be open. So you would speak with someone, and if it's a case where, okay, you said I stop, but then I get so angry, I get anxious, I'm fidgety. I just can't say my head feels kind of funny when I stop. Okay, then we need to go to a healthcare provider, or in that case also you want to see what's going on. Is there something going on? Is there some mental health? Doesn't mean it's a diagnosis, but something going on at home or with that kid that hasn't been tapped in at all. We are not aware of. So we want to see. We want to do those things. So basically, speak with someone that you trust, an adult. And also, because we have not talked, I'm glad that they're there. Understanding that all substances does affect you. It does affect the brain. So then you can make an informed decision. It's okay to be you. You don't have to follow the crowd. When you're you, you're special. You're unique. Maybe start learning some positive words, some positive affirmations for yourself. That's what we need to do. We should do that at home with our kids so that they are solid when it doesn't matter what their peers are doing, that they know, that they are aware of the side effects of that, the long-term side effects. Okay, thanks. I hope I answer your questions.
Thank you, Junie.
Okay, so we'll do this quickly. Alcohol use during pregnancy. There is no known safe amount of alcohol use during pregnancy. Absolutely none. It's best if you don't. Alcohol use can be harmful during the pregnancy. They've shown studies, they've done MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, and show where the effects of alcohol on the brain of the baby in utero. So it's not safe. It will retard development of the brain. So it is not safe. I sat for dinner before a baseball game at the Yankee Stadium and heard 3 women conversating. One, they've all worked there. One's pregnant. One said, do you drink? They all asking. The one said, I drink throughout my entire pregnancy and my baby's fine. Yeah, that was a chance she took. It happens. Not everyone is get affected in that way, but it's absolutely not safe. And if you are pregnant and drinking, please seek help from a medical professional. That would be a high-risk pregnancy. Next. Okay, and then comes cannabis. We're almost there. So it's from the Indian hemp plant for our history buffs. It's usually smoked and now they're forming gummies, there's cookies, there's baked goods. The ingredient in marijuana, cannabis, or pot, whatever you call it, is THC. This is the part that affects the brain. THC is the active ingredient. It's a depressant, and it also can cause some people to hallucinate, along with paranoia. Some of the effects include euphoria, detachment, and relaxation. Euphoria, you feel happy. Some people feel, I'm so relaxed, I just want to sleep. I'm not motivated to do anything. Long-term effects of marijuana, long-term effects, it's the loss of memory, especially short-term memory. Next. And I think most of us in the Caribbean can recognize those. Your eyes, after use, your eyes is red. Some people get the munchies, they say, increased appetite. Some have lack of motivation. There's mood swings. And with some people, there's paranoia. Okay, so symptoms of, I'm just gonna read those and say that the symptoms of marijuana withdrawal. If you're using and you recognize that when you stop, that's basically where it's coming from. Anger, irritability, and aggression, depressed mood, nervousness, anxiety, insomnia. Some say it helps you sleep, but then it can do the reverse for some. It's restlessness, disturbing dreams and nightmare, decreased appetite. For some, most people think it gives you appetite. and there are medication actually made from marijuana called Marinol for appetite. Headaches, nausea, vomiting, excessive sweating, abdominal pain, tremors, common physical. And these are less common physical symptoms. Not a lot of people go through this, but mostly the anxiety and the restlessness, poor sleep, and decreased appetite are more common. Next. Okay, so treatment includes counseling. So for that question, the other question from the young person, counseling for sure. Motivational therapy, that's maybe just positive, getting them motivated to see the problem and to do other things. And of course, there are no medications approved for cannabis addiction. Okay, so mental health and addiction, there is a link. So mental health disorders such as depression, let's go with anxiety, PTSD, bipolar disorder. Remember the area of the brain we spoke about, the fight or flight. So the brain is, somebody who suffers that is constantly on edge, or it's like you can't rest your brain. You say your brain is, you're racing. So it's high chance for someone to seek substance use to help to solve that problem. So that's where the self-medication comes. So now we can go to the next one. Okay, so and addiction impact on mental health and substance use can both exacerbate existing mental health problems and trigger new psychiatric symptoms, and it's vice versa with someone with mental health and with substance use. Those chronic drug use can cause chemical imbalances in the brain, leading to mood disturbances, psychosis, or increased anxiety. The withdrawal symptoms can mimic or worsen. Withdrawal symptoms can mimic or worsen psychiatric symptoms when you use drugs, making it harder to distinguish between substance effects and underlying mental illness. That is why if someone that has a co-occurring problem, mental health and addiction, before the psychiatrist or the provider even initiates treatment, they always want to see the drug, the substance of abuse to be off or not on board. Like the person is no longer using. We use the word clean, is no longer using. So they would be in a facility, and from then now you can get a true assessment of the person's mental health with the substances off. Next. Okay, so call to action. I have, sorry. Almost done. Sorry. Okay. I am disorganized. Okay, so we can do call to action. So we need community-based support systems. That's one of the things we definitely need. Education and awareness, family and community involvement, cultural healing and identity building. Cultural healing, just like we produce music, a lot of music that some of it involves substances, whether we talk about marijuana and mostly alcohol. I think the same can be done with speaking of the negative effects, because the more we hear something, the more we start to embrace it. So we can use the reverse. Access to professional help. Making access to professional, in Dominica, I'm not quite sure that we really have a facility yet, And I'm hoping that this is something that we as a group and the other healthcare providers and government officials can now really look into, because in fact, our youth is our future, and we definitely don't want to lose them to substance use. So that's where policy and advocacy would come in. Where is my... So in conclusion, I think that was the last one, right? Oh, sorry. So I did find some, there are treatment facilities around the Caribbean. I found in Panama, in Barbados and St. Thomas, there's Strong Hope, there's Barbados, Astana, Bespoke Health, Crossroads, and I believe Franklin helped me with that one when I met him in Dominica. Mount Hope Rehabilitation Center in Trinidad, Northbound Treatment Center, but our goal is to have one in Dominica. I believe in St. Lucia, there may be some as well. Next. If you would like any more information on addiction and mental health, those are some of the sources that I used to get some of the information. The CDC, SAMHSA, National Institute of Mental Health, National Institute of Drug Abuse, Pan American Health Organization, Caribbean Public Health Agency. By the way, Caribbean Public Health, they are doing a lot of work. I think they call it non-medical something, services, something like that. Okay. Oops, I can't find my. So in closing, let's so I want to, in closing, let me just say, as we close today, let us remember that addiction, the big takeaway is not a moral failing. It is a health issue. Behind every addiction is often a deeper struggle with mental health, pain, trauma that's been pushed aside or silenced. In the Caribbean, we usually say, today for me, today, tomorrow for you. Let's remember what affects one person today could touch any of us tomorrow. And if not us, somebody we care about, a loved one. So let's lift each other up, one heart, one voice, one step at a time. Let's check on our neighbors. Talk to our children, talk to the children, listen without judgment. Let's support the clinics and counselors, or let's train people to work with people battling that disease. Thank you, and may we continue to journey the journey of healing, not just for ourselves, but for the future of Dominica and the rest of the Caribbean.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Junie. Due to the constraints of time, we actually will hold our questions. So just hold your question, guys, write them down. That way we can actually bring the questions into the panel. So don't worry, we'll answer your questions. Junie, I want to thank you so much for such a succinct, in-depth presentation on the link between addiction, brain chemical waves, as well as how important it is for community to support, how important it is as parents for us to understand the trauma that we actually put on to our children, or the trauma that was passed on to us, that we then pass on to our children, affects them in the future. And so I think I know this was very informative for all of us, not only because we've all experienced someone or know someone in our family or in our community who has been affected by addiction, but you made it very clear that it is a brain disorder. It's not just thinking something's wrong with that person, but that person is chemically imbalanced. And you shared a lot of resources and a lot of techniques and a lot of solutions and a lot of treatments that we can actually have in our communities to support our individuals. So thank you again. Thank you for being present and sharing with us. We look forward to hearing more from you on the panel. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So we're going to continue our agenda and we're moving on to our performance by The Wizard. I'm going to call in one of our board members, Henny Parolo, to do a short introduction so now that we can be entertained.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to introduce this gentleman, a friend of mine, Merlin St. Hilaire, known in the Calypso world as Wizard, began his musical journey in school choirs and led the Canefield Catholic Church Choir for many years. He contributed as a composer and guitarist in local theater and with the Dominica Folk Singers. Wizard made his mark in the National Calypso Competition in 1988, placing second and captured the Calypso crown in both 1989 and 1990. He represented Dominica at the 1991 Caribbean Broadcasting Union Song Festival, placing second, and later he won the first New York Dominica Calypso competition in 1996. Over the years, he has written, composed, and arranged music for many Dominican Calypsonians and performers. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Merlin St. Hilaire, the Wizard.
Thank you very much. I hope you guys can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to do this one for you. By the way, big up to the High for the excellent work that you are doing. May God continue to bless you in your endeavors. Big up to our special guest, my friend Franklyn Moses. I'm going to do one of his favorite calypsos, which is called A Song of Love. It is a patriotic song that I'm sure if you know the verses, please sing along, or if you know the chorus, sing along with me. Okay, here we go.
Merlin, I think, are you guys hearing him or is it just me?
Hold on, I think we're not hearing the.
I'm not hearing you, Merlin.
Merlin, we're not hearing you.
When the blood, sweat, and tears so freely from my go. Oh yes, they have but what worth the pain. So we can tell all them all you have died in vain. Let's keep that dream alive. Their memories must survive. As we, as one people for progress, we strive. So let us join all hands and do the best we can. As we sing to rally all around our sister roulette. Yeah, man! The best of freedom without grace. We as the people must adore. So let's embrace this one and all. We have to stand up for liberty. We have to shape our destiny. We have to push on to make progress. Yeah, man. Make this country one of the best. One of the best. Yeah, man. This is a serious thing, you know? Franklyn, you remember that night? Yes, I. Let's raise our hands for those who went before, those who fought and strove to open many closed doors, those who gave us an identity and gave us our land to call our country. We have a lot to give. There's no alternative. If we must emulate what they have achieved, this land is yours to care, with everyone to share. Let us try to protect all the richness of this beauty so fair. Sing along. Oh, we sing it loud. As we sing it loud and clear, we as a people must stand tall. So let's embrace it one and all. For everyone, we have to stand up for liberty. Yeah, especially we have of the best. One of the best. Yeah, man. And I think I may have been the first Dominican Calypsonian to be covered by the famous Cicero singers, you know. So it feels good. It's an honor.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Listen. We can't allow no foreign influence to exploit and control our existence. No, we must establish priorities and deal with the things that affect we. We must destroy for good negative attitudes as we try to portray the image we should. The pride of place belongs to our own nation. Like we keep that in mind, then this country can never go wrong. Yeah, okay. Oh, we sing it loud. And we bring them loud and clearly as the people must adore. So let them praise it one and all. Oh, everyone, we have to stand up for liberty. Yeah. We have to take our destiny. We have to push up to make progress. Make something one of the best. One of the best. Sing along now. And so the song of love to sing. Oh, we sing it loud. And we ring down loud and clear. We as the people must adore. So let them break it one and all. Oh, everyone, we have to stand up for liberty. Right? We have to take our destiny. We have to push on to make progress. And make this country one of the best. One of the best. Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Woo! Oh, wow, that was special.
I did.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah.
Love the energy.
Wonderful. Well, before you leave us, we have someone noted in the chat that you must have some type of fountain of youth because you look the same. So you have to tell us what your secret is.
I think if you have a fountain of youth, you must have all your hair on your head, and it looks like I got none of that left. So that fountain it seems to be running dry. I don't know.
No. I think the energy is exuding from you. Your skin, your energy, your excitement, your love for country, your love for people, and your presence here today. Mr. Sentinel, thank you for being here today. Anne-Marie told me all about her. You were her choir director growing up, and I'm honored to meet you and to just listen to your calypso and share with us. And thank you very much for being here today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. There's a lot more on YouTube. Find my YouTube page. You can go ahead and listen. I remember Anne-Marie. Yeah, I remember Anne-Marie in the Kingsville Catholic Church choir. She was an excellent alto, so. And to see her now, and all what she's doing, I mean, this is very impressive and very admirable.
Thank you. And stay with us. Maybe you'll close us out with another song.
Who knows? Ooh. Okay, sure.
Lovely. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
So 5-minute break, everyone. Be back in 5, and then right after we start our panel. So a good time to grab some passion fruit juice. No, you do not. Grab some passion fruit juice, cocoa tea, or water, and come back.
Anything non-alcoholic.
No.
Hi, Dr. Wallace.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Beautiful.
Welcome.
All right. So thank you, everyone. Welcome back. So we are now going into a very important part of our program. This panel that we're about to have will highlight a story of hope, of healing, and really the strength of community. Today we make peace for honest conversation, shared wisdom, and community support. We remind ourselves that recovery is possible. And you heard, some of the points from Dr. I'm sorry, from Junie, in terms of, ways of supporting people and the treatments that are out there. But we want to encourage people to be able to seek treatment. And so a big part of this is really sort of, I don't want to say normalizing it, but really helping people understand that they don't have to be shamed to the point where they can't seek treatment. We want to support them, right? And destigmatize that. And nobody should have to walk this journey alone. It's not a fun one. And we want to have that collective responsibility to show up with empathy and education, and really with the tools to help them do that. So today we're going to hear from someone who courageously faced addiction for many years, but has risen from it, and living a life of purpose and of recovery. I'd like to welcome Mr. Franklyn Peter Moses. Welcome, Franklyn. Franklyn is a professionally trained media practitioner from Dominica with extensive experience in radio and TV broadcasting, in marketing, and in commercial production. A gifted writer and voice talent, he has created content for private, for corporate, for nonprofit organizations. His life took a dramatic turn several years ago due to addiction, homelessness, and repeated psychiatric hospitalizations. But he emerged from that into a powerful journey of recovery and transformation. Today, he's a voice of hope for others who are suffering from mental health and addiction. A proud father of 6 and grandfather of 5. Congratulations, Franklyn. Franklyn is a living example of resilience, reinvention, and redemption. He's now the senior news and special programs anchor at Q95 Radio. And Franklyn will be joined by a very close friend of his, Matt Peltier, and many of you also know Matt from the radio, whose presence and support helped anchor him through the storm. So Matt, as I said, is also a very popular media host in Dominica for over 30 years, trained in television and radio broadcasting. He's served in correspondence with Radio Antilles, Voice of America, all of the old shows that you know, BBC Caribbean Report. And he served in many other capacities, Catholic Radio Voice. And today he's a very public figure, hosting one of the most popular talk shows in Dominica, The Hot Seat, as well as Talk on the Block. So many of you also know Matt. And lastly, our final panelist is Dr. Nadia Wallace, psychiatrist, who will offer her insights on clinical and emotional complexities of addiction. So she'll give the clinical perspective. Based at the Acute Psychiatric Unit of Dominica China Friendship Hospital, Dr. Wallace is the leading psychiatrist on the island of Dominica. She's actually the only psychiatrist serving a population of over 60,000 people. So she plays a very pivotal role in national mental health initiatives in Dominica, and including the WHO-affiliated Mental Health Gap Action Program Intervention Guide, training and public awareness campaigns addressing suicide prevention and workplace mental well-being. Welcome, Franklyn, Matt, and Dr. Wallace. And I'm going to start off with Franklyn. So, we're honored to have you join us today. Really, really excited to have you on with us. This is going to be really impactful. So, Franklyn, I remember you on the radio when I was a child, hearing you on the radio, funny, full of energy, and just, having that passion and again, speaking so eloquently, and you still have that. I want to ask you to sort of take us back to the beginning of your journey as a prominent entertainer in Dominica and radio figure, and help us understand what led you to substance abuse. When did you sort of start to move in that direction, and were you aware of it? What sort of symptoms did you experience?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be real and to interface with the naked truth of my unfolding reality and my journey into recovery. I accept this invitation to unlock all hidden truths and to shed some light on the realities of everybody's impact, receiving or giving in society. I woke up this morning reflecting that sometimes we have to be broken vessels in order to be chosen vessels. And sometimes we don't anticipate the trajectory of our life. Though we know we want to get to a certain destination, but the journey, we knew the journey would be so disappointing, so sometimes hopeless, so dark. Maybe we would not embark on it, but we made stronger and better. We have broken for purpose. And I'm sure I'm not the only one to celebrate these hours and moments and weeks and months and years of sobriety. But in order to embrace sobriety, you've been down with society. So basically, done all my life, when I was growing up as a Canadian, I always had a sense of connectedness, a deep sense of keen sense of purpose. Not realizing that the things that I was thinking or anticipating or observing, I've been observing as a child, everybody was going through those things. So when I began to get a step in a different phase of my life, let's say from the age of
Franklyn,
consciousness,
you're breaking up a bit.
When I began
Can you hear me? You're breaking up a bit. So I can see the mic in front of you. Maybe you want to hold the mic part of your head.
I am. Okay. So is that?
Yeah, I think that's moving around, and so your voice.
So okay, I'm going to try. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. Can you hear me now, clearly?
Speak again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes.
Okay. So I basically was saying, so my consciousness as a teenager, I always felt that I was called for more, but more that I didn't really know. So in school, I was always the comedian, not knowing that that was comedy for me. That was natural expression of just trying to be funny. And then my school teacher said to me, well, you're talking so much. Well, actually, he wrote on my report card, if Franklyn Moses does not take himself seriously, he shall fail all his exams in June. That was that. Now they have all kinds of CXCs, but there was called GCEs, General Certificate of Education. And that hit me hard. But he says, well, your family fool so much in class. You are emceeing the show, the teenage pageant, the Calypso show, the St. Mary's Academy show. And I was like, no, I don't think I can do that. I'm safe in school, but not on the stage. But then, however, I heard the guy, the MC who was in my place, he said some kind of nonsense like it has been chosen by consensus. I heard, what, consensus? No, I can do better than that. I went up and I took the mic, and that's it for me since then. And then that was my stepping stone to becoming, confident master of ceremony. But interestingly, after having entertained millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people, being the first on the World Music Creole Festival, people like Ziggy Marley, all the Jamaican stars, third world, etc., all the Calypso shows, Queen shows, OECS shows, junior pageant, teenage pageant, from people from Maxine Nightingale, the Platters, you just name it, Ziggy Marley. I would go home and drop and crash and burn. Just at it self-medicating, understanding, because I move in the trajectory. I'm here, I'm pulling down heaven, I'm making people laugh. And I go home alone, walking alone, still thinking maybe I could have done this better, I could have said that better. And let me crunch this story. So I've been working in media, and I write a lot, I think a lot, I read a lot, I interface. My mentor stand again and say, fam, read everything from philosophy to pornography, but read. I would consume one of these books, from Harlambos to Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche, to just name them. So I was in tune with the universe. Then I went to work in Antigua, and there I planned in my mind. I plan. I don't plan to wait. I don't wait to plan. I plan to wait. I plan and I wait. I said, in 7 years, I want to be somebody or something, a management. 7 years, I become the manager in ZDK Radio in Antigua. That's when the depression hit, because I've been going through that labyrinth all the time, unable to pinpoint what it is. Went to England and stayed in England for 6 months, came back, and I started to act up. I was told, but I could recognize it. But not knowing that I'm well dressed, all in black. I have a bag in one hand, the right hand, bag in the left hand, one on my shoulder, one on my back. And I'm convinced that I'm okay. People in Dominica said to me, well, they saw that I was not okay. I was okay. In my mind, I'm okay. Anyway, I was admitted forcefully to the psych unit in Dominica. That intervention happened 1, 2, 3, 4, like from 2008 right until 2022. In and out, in and out, in and out, treatment back out, treatment back out, treatment back out. I will talk about, if you ask me about what I think are the triggers, because I can identify the triggers of that. But bipolar disorder was diagnosed. I don't know what bipolar was, because I think everybody would have great highs and great lows. Everybody could think like me, write like me, think like me, speak like me. Think the thoughts that I was thinking, though some of them were really outlandish. When I say outlandish, but really, really spectacular, colorful, fluorescent thoughts. And then I would have real dark thoughts, like really not dark as like suicidal, but dark like, why am I feeling so gloomy, overcast? Not only partly cloudy, really overcast. And I've been going through this roller coaster all my life. I'm punishing myself because I'm not only self-medicating. So now I get into cigarettes. At the age of 13, my first rum was at the age of 13. VP rum, a little thing called VP rum and vampire rum. That. Then I began to develop a great capacity for the absorption of all types of substances. Great capacity. Will take me half a forest of marijuana to get me high or to keep me high. It will take the entire distillery to keep me drunk. So then I embarked on, when I came, I had interface with cocaine, crack cocaine, 35 years prior to my last episode. But there was a doctor here in Dominica called Dapinder Sharma, and the time I was confident enough that I knew, I think I got hooked because somebody gave me, and I was deeply spiritual at the time, that they see how this inconsistency regarding the physical substance gene I may have had. And I was just private prayer and worship, deeply steeped in beyond the veil. The guy offered me some marijuana, which I used, and it really allowed me to connect spiritually. And it was laced with cocaine. So I got hooked. And I'm going to tell you, the first high you ever get is the best high. Never again you get that spend billions of dollars if you have it to get back. Really, in truth, you want that. And so you spend all your time because it.
So Franklyn, you're going in and out again. If you can again, just keep the mic to your mouth.
Okay, so
much better.
Right. Okay, is that better? Sorry.
Yep, much better. I think as you move your hand.
Okay, overspoke a little. Yeah, no. When I get into the phone, sorry. So remind me to stay because I'm going back in certain places and I've tried to shut some doors. So I'm opening them and I'm trying to move quickly through the corridor so I don't go back and trip back. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
All right. So where was I? Yeah. So then I interfaced with because when I came from the States in 2019, came to Dominica, I wanted to vote, and I didn't get a vote, but then COVID hit, and then Trump says, if you're out of America, don't come back in, and if you're in America, don't go out. And then my visa ran out, and I was in Dominica, I became homeless. I became homeless, and then there's COVID, and then I was living on the street, marketplace, on the street, on the bayfront, everywhere, and nobody really took me seriously. Nobody was asking, are you okay? We see you here. Open to it. That guy kind of felt a little let down. I felt a little hopeless, a little disarmed. However, having been on the street, I would talk about all the folks who assisted me and all the days when I went with the fair food, no food, where the next meal is going to come from. Then, I got beat up, I got robbed, I got into fights, lost, almost broken bones, everything like that. But however, I'm a survivor. And then I was admitted I'm trying to remember the events that led up to me, but I think Dr. Wallace is the one who insisted that I be brought in. And I was brought into the psych unit. And she made some decisions that changed my life without my permission. And I will forever be grateful in that I was held in at the psych unit, became a permanent member of the psych unit for almost 3 years. That rescued me. Sorry. because for the first time in my life, I did not have the creative authority to say where I go, what I do. I was able to rest for the first time. I was able to get medication, do the right treatment, the proper counseling, and to be. And what it did, it separated me from the need for dependency, for wanting to prove myself, or having to go to a show. It disconnected me from the urge for drugs. It disconnected me. So it was necessary for me for that platform. So I want to suggest to those who don't think you need a medical intervention. It can work, it will work, and it has worked for me, and I can confidently and proudly say that. And then continue to that. Like one day when you read my book, you will find out I retraced some of the triggers, things that happened to me mentally, abuse physically, emotionally, psychologically, sexually, and otherwise, but I don't think it was this time at this time. And so I could connect the dots and realize, well, it wasn't my fault because I was blaming myself. Remember, a bright man, sorry, I don't want to move. Wow, a smart man like you doing nonsense like this. And I'm like, a pretty person like you asking a dumb question, you know.
So I want to ask.
It progressed, yes.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And, you know, one of the things you mentioned in the beginning, you said that other people saw, in the very early stages, other people saw it, right? They saw you were acting weird. You hadn't really seen it. But then you mentioned when you were living on the street, nobody asked any questions. And I think that's where, you know, the stigma comes in, right? Nobody wants to say anything, even if they're noticing it, right? It's so stigmatized. But then Dr. Wallace intervened. And so I want to bring in Dr. Wallace a minute, just to sort of understand from you, Dr. Wallace, what sort of signs, and I know you knew Franklyn before, you know, he got to that point. What signs did you see that told you that you had to intervene at that point and take him to the unit?
Good morning, everyone.
To understand, you know, what to look for, what sort of signs and symptoms tell you that a person has gone beyond and really need some intervention.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure being here this morning.
Thank you.
And it's nice meeting you. I've been speaking to you.
I know, we've been talking on the phone.
It's like, yes, it's nice to finally see you.
You too.
Okay, so hi, Franklyn.
Hi,
Yes, so Franklyn, as I mentioned to you, I knew Franklyn for over 30 years. I met him the first time over 30 years ago. And I remember when I returned from studies and I saw Franklyn on the streets, I was surprised. I got home and that was one of the first things that I saw. And I was like, oh, this is Franklyn. And it really touched me in places, you know, that I always remember. And I kept, you know, immediately I felt, no, I can't see Franklyn like this. I can't see Franklyn like this. Knowing who Franklyn was, I remember how much he contributed to Dominica, the talents that he had. And it's like, this is not right. This is not right. I have to help Franklyn. So Franklyn, he was admitted a few times to the unit while I was there, admitted, got better, and was discharged. And again, you know, he gave in reassurance that, yes, I'm not going back on the road. I'm going to stay off drugs. And a few weeks after, I'll see him on the road again. And it just coincided. I said, you know, the next time you come on, you get admitted, I'm not going to send you out. So when Franklyn was admitted that final time, almost 3 years ago, he got better and everything. And I brought him in and I said, Franklyn, listen, I have been seeing you on the streets, and to me, you kept saying that you were not going back, but every time you keep going back, I'm not going to send you home this time. I'm going to leave you on the ward, and I'm going to see if I'm going to see how I can help you. We need to get some of support. I know you have friends, you have your family. So we reached out to Franklyn's friends, reached out to family, reached out to the people that he, in his fraternity, the media fraternity. who we knew he was very close to. And persons came on board, and we all tried to put our heads together to see how we could get Franklyn the support that he needed. We went as far as trying to identify a home to get him to stay in a home, because you have to understand the psychiatric unit is to treat persons who are acutely ill, and once they are better, they're to be discharged. So this was not really the ideal setting for him. So he wanted to get him to a home where there was some kind of structure, the way he could continue taking his medication and he could be kept away from the drugs. And we tried, we were almost successful, but then that failed. So he again continued to be with us. And he was there, and just kept hoping that, we could get someone who can come and get Franklyn back, try to reintegrate him slowly into what he knows, slowly into society, so he can learn to live that life that he once knew. And that's what we did. That's what we did. So every opportunity we got to get him involved in things that he used to do prior to coming to the ward, we would engage him in that. We had like we had the APU annual concert. He was very integral in that. He helped out with our ad. He was happily working with us like he used to. Whenever there were shows, persons would reach out to me and ask me whether he could be part in the show. He could, be the MC. And I was very happy for that. It's like, so every opportunity that we got to get him to do what was him, and we would engage him. And then Matt came along. And Matt was a constant. Matt would call me every day, almost every day. Doc, I'm coming to get Franklyn. And I'll give him a stern warning. Matt, make sure I am entrusting Franklyn in your care. Yeah. Do not let me down. Do not disappoint me. I do not want to see Franklyn on the road. Make sure you supervise him. Because if he's not supervised, I will not allow him to go with you. And Matt gave me his word. So there were times I would, and there were eyes on this out there, people who were not even affiliated to the unit, but who knew, they would recognize what was happening. They would call me. So I would get calls from FA. Hey, Dr. Wallace, I'm seeing Franklyn here and he's all by himself. He has nobody with him. So so he didn't know that. But I was looking out all around, and I said, Matt, I'm just going to call. Where's Franklyn? I was like, oh, the doc, he just went to do this. I know I'm close by. It's like, okay, remember, make sure he's okay. Make sure he's always supervised. So this is what this is what happened. So we had the entire community looking out, and and Franklyn didn't know that, but there were a lot of people in the background asking about him, and wanting him to get better. And it's like, so we all work together, rallying around Franklyn. Persons he know of, persons he doesn't know of. And that's what got him to, and so Franklyn and Matt was there, all the time. And then there was, and it's like, okay, doc, people will tell me, I've been seeing him and I think he's ready, doctor. From what we're seeing, we think he's ready right now. You think we can give him the chance? So I'm saying all this to say it was a collective decision.
It sounds like
a collective decision,
and I think on a small island like Dominica, I think where everybody knows everybody, right? Even if you don't know them, you know their family. I think that probably made it a bit easier versus, for example, here in the US. But I think Matt is on the line now. So I want to bring in Matt. Matt, can you hear me? Matt? Someone told me he was on. Is he on? All right. So why don't we continue? Maybe not. I don't
think so.
Okay, that's fine. So Dr. Wallace, before we go back to you, I'm going to bring Franklyn back again. And Franklyn, I want you to just give us a sense of how this really impacted your life, your quality of life, your ability to function daily. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the transition is still ongoing because, as Dr. Wallace said, it was a collective effort. But for many people, and I don't want to start to count on the number of individuals who I'm now working closely with, or rather, who is working, who has been and is continuing to work closely with me. And they, all of you, all who many people watching at this point in time, you have no idea how that connection with you outside of the framework of the hard function of the actual psych unit is doing for me. James, but Matt, we've been friends, but we were just friends. We were colleagues. We've worked together on almost every radio station. We have experience. So much so he's my first son's godfather.
Mm.
And that is
I think Matt is trying to speak under Alison Peltier's line.
Matt, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah,
Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay.
So we heard from both Franklyn and Dr. Wallace about the part that you played in Franklyn's recovery. So we want to bring you in to just share with us what made you intervene, what made you come in, because Dr. Wallace said Matt came, so you came out of nowhere and you were the savior. Tell us what triggered you to intervene. Franklyn being your friend, you guys on the radio together, I'm sure you saw what was going on. What sort of signs and symptoms did you see in Franklyn that told you that he needed help and you needed to do something now?
Well, before he went into the psych ward, I was instrumental in getting him to the rehab in Trinidad. And then we went to New Jersey to do a show. But when he came back, and he was doing well that time.
Yeah.
When he came back, I saw him on the street one time, and I tried to give him some food, and he told me, "But Matt, F you, boy." I said, "F me." And he wasn't really worried. I don't know if he understood what he just said. And somebody else came to me and they say that Franklyn was walking naked on the street. I said, "Franklyn."
Wow.
I said, "No." And I found out he was at the on the ward. And I reached out to Dr. Wallace and I said, "Doc, I'm going to be a guide for Franklyn. Because I know that this guy has super talent and he has to be helped."
Yeah.
So I reached out to him and, I have to pick him up daily, every day, twice a day. If I'm not in the island, I get somebody to work with him. I was dedicated to the cause. So it was a cry for help. I was seeing there and I said, we had conversation. I said, "Franklyn, we have to be on that journey. We have to complete this journey."
Yeah.
And I would, take him to, let him do things that he enjoyed doing. And I realized, he was getting better every month. And, sometimes he'd say, I want to go back. I want to go back to the psych unit. I'm feeling tired. He had his moments, but I never gave up. That's basically what happened.
That's amazing. And thank you so much for doing that. You are a heaven sent, and I'm sure Franklyn appreciates that so much. I'm just wondering, with the stigma and shame and blame associated with this, with substance abuse and with addiction, were you ever faced with, the case where people thought that you were probably doing it too, the fact that you were hanging out with Franklyn, they know Franklyn was doing it? Because a lot of times people refrain from helping because they're afraid of what people are going to say and what they will perceive of themselves, right? So I'm wondering how you dealt with that, if you had to.
Well, a lot of people actually reached out and say, "Matt, you don't have time for me." So it's Franklyn, you want to hang out with these days, you're not making time. I have some close friends who said that to me. I was like, this guy needs help. And nobody's reaching out to help him. He had media friends who would come and just touch and go. But I said he needed more. So I gave him the time I think he needed. And, whatever people said didn't bother me at all, because I have a brother also who's a drug addict. And I've been trying to help him over the years, but he's just not listening. Franklyn was willing to listen and learn. And and my brother's still into drugs. I'm trying my very best. He just doesn't listen.
Yeah.
But you have to get to the time when you say, enough is enough.
Right.
And, he was willing to let my brother still on the streets, doing what he has to do. And my sister is right there. She can share that story as well. So it was a journey, but it was well worth it.
Yeah, yeah. And Franklyn, what about your family? How did this impact your family, your children, your spouse?
Oh, well, the same, what coincidence, the very same son of mine who is the godfather of his former teacher, my former teacher also, the late Coffee, would come and call me. He called me once when I was really shattered on the street. And that even shattered me more when he said to me, you know, you're affecting your son. Your son is just sitting in the class and staring into outer space. And I was so disconnected. Is when he said that to me, it gave me a little grounding.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize. Because let me give you a little snippet into the mind of a person who is out of it. You are on earth, but your mind is not scrambled, it's focused on something else. It is on because as Doc would correctly say, I don't know, they call it delusions of grandeur. You are in a place where you think that you want to be, but you're there. Or then you are at that place or space, there's uncomfortable. But
you're breaking up again, Franklyn. So don't move your head too much. Just keep the mic. Yeah, don't move your head too much because then you go in and out. Yep.
So you're in another place that you do not want to be, but you are there. And what and all of my friends, I think you know yourself. That don't want to leave out anybody, but your present life is like changing. The word that every time
Franklyn, I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you again because I really want people to hear this. Can you hold the little part of the mic of hold that little mic that's on your headphone to your mouth?
And can you, no.
Not yet.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. So I would just say everybody touch me and they continue to do that, bring me comfort for their words, for their presence, for education, for meditation, or for even their silence, you know. And there were two instances I remember. One lady when I was on the street, and I will never forget that one in particular. She came and she stood up by me with something in her hand, and she stood up by me. Now, me in my own mental space, I'm saying, what is this woman standing up by me? Look at how she's well dressed and she's so cute and whatever it is. I'm watching her, but she's not watching me. I'm standing up opposite All Saints University. I'm towards Scotiabank. She's looking down the road, down Hillsborough Street. And she's there for 3 minutes and not saying a word. And then all of a sudden, she just musters the courage and says, hey, you want this, Mr. Moses? And I'm like in shock. She stood up by me, not knowing whether or not I was in the right frame of mind to answer her yes or no. That is my deduction, you know, for connecting after she had done what she had done. And I'm saying, okay, was I scary? Was I unapproachable? Am I dirty? Am I smelling? Am I, you know, what? And then I understand some people go above and beyond just being sympathetic to becoming empathetic. And that's one of the things that I was able to get in touch with, that inner self of mine, of people, of humanity, having faith in humanity. Because I got a lot of beatings and bad words and some people spit in my direction. And I was like, what have I done to deserve this? You know, I felt helpless, hopeless, and forgotten and abandoned. So when Doc and Matt in particular, you see, one of the things about Matt is that he was consistent, in that he is consistent. And I don't know if I would do that for him. And now I'm able to reach out even more and commit the rest of my life to help. And even if it's just 1, 2, 3 people, by using Matt's example. Matt has been consistent. Matt takes me to play. I've been to San Silver for the first time in my life. 60 years I'm on this earth. First time I've been to San Silver. I've been to places that, but he takes me places just like it's like drinking water for him. You know, his family is my family. His daughter calls me Uncle Franklyn. His son is like my son. His home is my home. But I'm not saying it, I mean, that happens for everybody, but it is beyond my expectation. Being that bridge, the builder of the bridge gapping because I was at the psych unit, as Dr. mentioned. I didn't know, Doc, you keeping secrets from me, Dr. Wallace, you're keeping secrets from me. Okay. So, but what happened is, while I was there, she allowed him to help me bridge the gap from being like, because I would be in the hospital. I know, because he said I have to go back because I've become accustomed of the safety of the psych unit. But I like the freedom of going back to work. And while I was at psych unit, and I'm going to say this for the world to know, I had more money saved through Matt engaging me with encounters of production and businesses that I had saved in my entire lifetime.
Yeah.
And there was one somebody, I don't know who it is, I want to say thank you. For the first time in my life, somebody put a substantial sum of money, a couple thousand, in my account. I don't know who it is. But certain things people have done, but with Doc and Matt and Faye and Amy and I don't want to call because they have a long list. And I just came from supermarket when and I just saw another guy there, and he's watching me, and I know two of them, as a matter of fact. Matt, the same guy who you interviewed, Vanley, he's there, and he's like, Moses, he comes up and says, boy, I smoking a little less, I'm going to come like you in a while. No, these things mean they're important to me because I don't go to them. I let my life be an example, and they come to me, they gravitate towards me because I understand I will come back in the shoe. I've lost 15 people. The last one I just lost is my friend at age 14 committed suicide because of bullying and other things in his life. And then I met his mom, and his mom says he was talking about you. So I think that my life has an impact. I didn't choose this trajectory. I know I have an addictive personality, so I don't drink, I don't smoke. Don't drink around me, well, Matt knows. Well, thank you, Matt. Matt don't drink, Matt don't smoke, but he may have an occasional thing, so I'm in good company. So we like it. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't want marijuana, I don't want cigarette, not because I don't want it. My body just rejects it. The atmosphere, the environment is a framework and your mind and your approach. And I thank everybody who's contributed, you and the organization in Boston, the friends in New York, all over the world. Because people in Alaska knew I was doing crazy stuff. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, well, what gets wrong? What gets wrong? But it's such a powerful, it really underscores the importance of that family support, friend support, that base, right? You had people who were advocating for you behind your back, right? Who had your back, who wanted to see you recover. So I think that's so powerful. But I think,
can I just say one thing, please? Can I say this one thing? I'm appealing to those watching me right now. I did not get here in this position of recovering by myself. I'm asking you, the conduit, the corridor, you don't know with somebody doesn't be your blood relative. Could be somebody in your community that you are the person God has assigned to assist, be there to help a person under a human being. And it's time we become responsible for and live up to the expectation. And it doesn't have to be much. It may have been a commitment of a couple of years. Yours may be a cup of water. Yours may be a listening ear. Whatever it is, I'm asking and I'm begging you, please pay and be aware and be conscious of your environment and the persons who God has put in your life to show the direction to recovery, and you will receive that reward.
Well said. Well
in
said.
Jesus'
Powerful
name.
statement. Very well said.
And I think Amy had a question. Amy had her hand up for a while.
Okay. Amy, go ahead.
Any question?
Oh, hello everyone.
Hi, Amy.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Yay.
Okay. I was actually writing this question in the chat, but I wanted to kind of throw my hat in here in the conversation because this is such a very personal and important part of my life as well. And I have had the pleasure of meeting Franklyn in 2000 and maybe 21 or 22, early in his recovery during a manic phase, and we met at a bar, and he was not yet quite in his wellness, but I haven't had walked the road through mental health challenges myself, recognizing the symptoms, was able to point it out quickly, and I personally have had deep experiences with mental health issues, both as an individual, and also my daughter also had to be had a short stay in a psych facility in her senior year of high school. So both as a parent and as an individual, I've also had to walk that road to recovery. And quite recently, actually, for the grace of God, that Franklyn just mentioned, we reconnected. Franklyn and I have reconnected, and we're right now, I think, both kind of joined forces and are putting our collective talents into the pool to collaborate on multiple ways to offer a place, a space for people who are suffering with mental health challenges and to find a way to recovery, find a modality to recovery, find a non-judgmental space even where they can come and just tell us what's going on, and that we all know the support of community is so important. And if we all were Franklyn Moses, then we could all count on the community to support us like they did. Thank you, Dominica. It's part of why I moved back here, is that there is community. But in lieu of that, having a forward momentum and being able to offer some pathways for people who are struggling is just kind of where we are aligned. Franklyn and I are aligned on that. But the question I wanted to ask is, what would you consider to be your biggest tool in your recovery, and also what fuels your continued commitment to wellness? Because I myself know that it is a daily struggle. It is sometimes moment by moment struggle to maintain your grounding and your centering and your footing, and to sometimes even stray from that and return back to normal. So what do you consider to be what gives you the most benefit that helps you to maintain your sobriety, maintain your commitment to wellness, and also to fuel every day for you?
Great question. Franklyn?
One of them, a number of them, I'll just precede them. One of them is having accountability. I think I'm now accountable to, I want to, for Doc Wallace, I am accountable to you. I submit myself to you. Matt will call me, not like, you know what, Franklyn, where are you? And the previous boy in me stands up as a man and says, I am on my way. I am doing this, and that. No more bullshit. No more hiding. No more. So that's one. That's one. So then there was the power of reconciliation. The fact that I don't want to go back there. I've reconciled with the reality that I didn't. It was a good experience, but it's like perfume. It smells good. It tastes bad. And the fear of that's two. Number three is the hundreds of people I know I will let down. Silent people who just come up to me. There's a lady, it happened twice, and the person put a little piece of paper in my hand, and it was like, just one said, thank you. I don't know for what. It just said, thank you. I don't know for what. I was walking on the road, she said, hold on. And then there was the expectation of, well, I shouldn't say expectation. The joy of being, there's a certain time in my life, just recently, I was with a friend, and he says, well, let's relax, let's have a drink. I tasted a little bit of wine at 11%, and I wanted to vomit. I'm like, okay, I've arrived. Without my permission, and as for me, I still feel I want to like maybe get a little higher. No. It's just been suffocated and dried up from my system. So that when somebody passed me, I say to myself, smoking cigarette, I said, that's how I should smell, you know? So that's 3. And 4 is my surrender to God. In other words, I'm watching eyes and say, well, I come face to face with myself. I am not perfect. Every day I walk on the crutches of grace. I have grace on one side and mercy on the other side under my arms as carrying me. Every day I say, I wish I could fix that. I wish I could fix it. I say, God, and I hear God says, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Don't ever think that I'm all that. That's why I'm happy when Matt will ask me, where are you? So if you think you don't be all that, you know. So every day I walk cautiously, I wake up, I say my devotions, and at the end of the day, I begin my day, and I say, okay, that's one day I put it in the bag. And then the last one is that I have a long-term goal. And every day, every week, that's why Amy and myself, we meet, whether spontaneously or agreed upon a time, we meet, we go somewhere, and we write down what we are going to do, because I don't think it's my thing alone. And so we're looking for everybody to assist us when we start with the projects and the program, along with Doc and Matt and the rest of Dominica. Everybody, the whole of Dominica is going to become a rehab. Everybody's house is going to be rehab. Your backyard is going to become a rehab. Your family tree is going to become a rehab. All your healing herbs is going to become the Dominica is going to be the rehab center. Not only rehab, no, forget the word rehab. It's going to be the wellness and well-being and journey to recovery sanctuary in the entire world. We have water, we have sunlight, we have food, we have nothing. People, we're going to get back to the coaching. So help me establish the Franklyn Moses Foundation for Wellness and Wholeness and Well-being and Counseling in Dominica and the Caribbean and the world. It's going to happen whether I'm alive or not. It's going to happen. We're not going to plan to fail. We're not going to play and fail to plan. We're going to plan, and it's going to one mind at a time. Because the mind is everything.
I really love this. And Amy, thanks again for sharing. This is, I mean, Dominica does not have a facility right now, and I'm so excited to hear this. And I want to continue that conversation with you guys after this event and see how the high can support. I really like this. But before we close,
and we have another question. Jennifer Abraham has her hand up for a question.
Oh, Jenny.
Hi, everybody. I'm so blessed to be on today. I want to thank Alicia, my former schoolmate, who sent it to on a group chat. And last night late, I just picked it up and I said, Franklyn, oh my gosh, I have to, because Franklyn and I have been on the phone through all his struggles. I'm praying, and he would bring me to the place where most of the young boys would be there, in the drugs, and he would bring them to me and I would pray for them. And all of them, I know all the young ones in Dominica, they are stuck in that. They want to come out. But the Lord have blessed me recently to purchase a house. But the house that I purchased, in my heart, I have devoted it to the Lord, that to help, use that house to help however way I can to get the young men and the young women the help that they need. And I was just praying and saying, Lord, how am I going to start this? I mean, I haven't got the education in that field and whatever. So just being on here today is like I want to cry. Second of all, the person that owned that house, I know that person, that's how the house was built, with that money. And I purpose in my heart, I will not use this house to make money. I will use this house to give back to Dominica what was stolen from our young men and our young women. So however way I can join in helping, in Dominica with this, it will be just a blessing for me. Thank you.
Oh my God, Jennifer,
Absolutely.
thank you. Thank you so much for all you do. Oh, I'm sorry, Franklyn, were you saying something?
No, that's okay.
Have me almost in tears. This is so exciting.
Yes,
so exciting to hear, and things that are truly needed on the island. Were you going to say something? I have one more question I want to ask. I would be remiss if I don't go back to Dr. Wallace. Dr. Wallace, with the surge of suicides that are happening in Dominica right now, 7 per week was the report that you put out. What sort of strategies are being put in place in Dominica to sort of handle that surge and deal with this? I know we don't have a facility, but Franklyn and Jennifer and Amy, they're people who are genuinely wanting to help and are taking it upon themselves to do something. Is there anything from a governmental perspective that's happening to deal with that surge? Because these numbers are just crazy.
Also, Anne-Marie, I think it's attempted. The 7 is attempted, not actual execution. I mean, it's a difference. I mean, it kind of leads to it. Yeah, just still, keep in mind.
Yeah, still striking. Dr. Wallace, jumping here.
Yes, I've highlighted over the past few months that I have been seeing an increase in teenagers who have been attempting suicide. Teenage girls, teenage boys, and the most of the time the risk factor or the direct cause is either bullying, child sexual abuse, or the family dynamics, and these are the 3 most common causes that we find. Now, persons who I see at the acute psychiatric unit with any relation to suicide whatsoever are those who, after they've attempted and who continue to be at risk, then I would admit them I would admit them to help them and to protect them from completing this. And during that intervention, we would bring in persons who are related, persons who are included, persons who can make a difference in whatever stressor that person, that child is going through. Now, you have to understand that those that I see are those who actually make it to the hospital, but there may even be others who attempt and who don't make it to the hospital. Okay, so it's alarming, the amount, and when it comes to the factors, the contributing factors, it varies, it's vast, it's no one cause, but there are so many risk factors. We have depression, for example, that has, as we know, the prevalence has increased worldwide. So Dominica is no different. And as depression, one of the symptoms is, suicidal ideations, plans, or even attempt. We have also the chronic conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes. A lot of persons who suffer with this, they do also suffer with depression. And again, so that may be a contributing factor. And we have all the different stresses that people face, and the stigma and discrimination that people face daily that prevents them or makes it more difficult for them to seek help when they need help. The lack of awareness, persons not understanding what mental illness is all about, and whenever they are faced with mental health issues, they because they're not aware, they tend to seek help from places which are not going to really benefit them. And what we'll have is we'll have that condition, the worsening of the condition, of the conditions, and by the time they reach to us, it's too late. So I'm saying all this to say there is, we have begun on a drive to increase the awareness, to sensitize the public to the importance of mental health and the issues of mental illness, so that they can actually have hopefully with this increased awareness, there will be a change in their attitude, to persons, to themselves, and also to persons who have mental health issues. Now, recognizing that it's only me in Dominica on island presently who is a psychiatrist, recognizing that there are limited resources and there are much less resources than the need for care. One of the attempts that I've made and the drive is to see how we can educate other persons. So one of the things that we've done is I've engaged with collaboration with PAHO. We did the image gap training to the mental health workers, and that was really done with the aim of increasing their knowledge and empowering them so that they will be better able to identify persons who have mental issues, assess them, diagnose them, and manage them. And so that's for the mental health workers. There is another wing of this where there is the image gap training for community health workers, that is non-medical personnel, persons of influence in the community. So this is the next step to go. We have 7 districts in Dominica. So the next step is to go to each of these various districts and try to identify with the help of the district medical officers who are on the ground working in primary health care, to see if we can help identify key persons in the community, so we can also train them to be able to be on the ground, the gatekeepers on the ground, so that they too can help in identifying early enough persons who have mental health issues and who can support them their family, their caregivers, and also bring them in when, to the healthcare workers whenever they need help. So this is where we are going right now, and we are hoping that, persons with, will come on board and assist, because we need to work collectively. No one person can do this alone. I can't do it alone. The psychiatric unit can't do it alone. We really need to have a community approach, to in tackling these issues that we're dealing with right now in Dominica.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, real quick. I know we're at time before people start.
I know. I just want to, of course, congratulate Dr. Wallace. She's been doing a great job. But the issue of the legalization of the drug marijuana, and I know you have to strike the balancing act because government is pushing that. But in the same vein, research has shown that we have had an increase in mental illness because of the view that government has legalized and make this drug even more available to the young people in Dominica. I just wanted your view on that.
Yeah, very, very, very important. And that's all over. In the US, it's the same. So it's not going to help. But thank you so much for sharing that, Matt. And thank you, Dr. Wallace. This is really wonderful that you guys can do that training for even just the local public to be able to assist you, because there's no way you can do this alone for a population of over $60,000. But I know we're at time, so I just want to thank all three of you guys. Franklyn, thank you so much for sharing your story. Amy, thank you for joining in. One of the most powerful ways of educating is by people sharing their lived experience. It resonates with people, and I think most importantly, it triggers them to take action. And they see that they're not alone, that other people are going through this. So I'm really happy that we were able to do this. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to